your stories, I was drunk in
joining the 502nd, becoming part of the 502nd. That was my memorable moment.
When was that, Joe?
The gator crash. So I can't. I mean, if you want to hear it, I mean, I'll tell you.
Tell us.
Yes.
Did you come right after? Or?
So I came in right at the time. I had my first unit was Korea. I had friends of mine that were in basic training in 84, 85, or 84. That were. Remember back then we had them cell phones like you have. Anyway, I volunteered to go to Korea because my father served in Korea, and that's where I was going. And they were going to Fort Campbell. And back then, you wrote letters to each other, you know, or you get on that Mars system. I don't know. None of you guys probably know what that is. You go into a little booth and you call, and you go, and there was somebody on the phone with you. You'd say something and go break, and it would go to the next person. And that's how it was back then. That was 84, you know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, so I served a year in Korea, and I was PCS into Fort Campbell. In the time frame of that, I was communicating with my friends, and they got assigned to the 3rd of the 502nd. And 6 months into my career, my tour in Korea, they went to Sinai in Egypt. And this thing, I had no idea. I was just a PFC. And anyway, they said they were coming back in December. And I was leaving Korea, and I was assigned to Fort Campbell. And they said, a couple of them said, hey, when you get to the replacement center, I had no idea what the hell I'm going to. And they said, you know, hey, when you get there, we're coming back in December. And so I said, well, I'm just a low-ranking guy. I'll try. So I had leave in November, home with the family in Indiana. So I get to Fort Campbell, and I get the replacement center, and I asked for that unit. And they did sign me to 3rd and 502nd. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'll go see my friends, you know? And anyway, I get assigned to 3rd and 502nd. And so now I'm rear detachment private PFC specialist. I can't remember what the rank that was at the time, but I'm rear detachment. I'm assigned to the unit, and I'm waiting for my friends to come home. So now I'm rear D. So the first plane coming back from Sinai lands, and so now at 4 o'clock in the morning, remember Pratt Gym? Remember that? Right by 502nd? That gym that we used to go up to?
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We had to be up there for getting the families in, and we got them in. And they had the bleachers out for the family members, and then we had the other side open for the soldiers coming home. And it went well. I mean, they'd come up to the podium and say, you know, your family members have landed in Canada. They'll be home in, I think they say 2.5 hours. And, you know, of course, they're talking to each other like we were talking. So you hear all these different conversations. There's empty bleachers over here. This was the soldiers going to come in the back door. So they come out and say, you know, your loved ones have just landed. And
the complete opposite of like Vietnam. You know, so they're actually
yeah,
letting the families know, hey,
they are there.
They are. They're coming to you.
Yeah,
we
so
love you.
so they come in and they march in because you know it is a ceremony. So they come marching in, and just like we did today about the ceremony kind of shit, and they all go in the bleachers and they just continue the ceremony bullshit. And once they're finished, whoever, I can't remember who it was, but when they were done, they said, go get them, boys. So they all run down, and the family members are, you know, they leave. So, okay, 7 days later, the next plane's supposed to come in. And that's where my friends were in on that plane, that I was told. And same thing. family members coming in. We're a detachment, so we had to do all that bullshit. And then they came out and said they were landing in Canada. They didn't say Gander. They said landing in Canada. And then there was. Do I need to stop? No, I'll stop.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
Somebody's laughing. I mean,
Huh?
is there
Gander
something funny about what I'm
Newfoundland.
saying?
No, they're throwing shit at him.
Oh, go ahead.
It don't mean. It isn't mean. Anyway, they died, and then I had to go to fucking escort. I had to go with NCOs as a private to go look at caskets in fucking Dover. People that weren't there. They were half bodies. So my most memorable moment is that. And I lost everybody that I knew on that fucking plane. So that's my memory of my most memorable of becoming part of this.
And to this day, you
you
still
were
go to their
laughing.
graves, and you
feel
still
like,
keep them
Glad that-
pretty and clean, and pay your respects.
I do. I clean the graves every 3 months. At all. There's 24 soldiers from the Granite Crush that, and none of them are my soldiers that I knew. But every 3 months I go up and clean those graves because it's part of us.
He does, I know.
But yeah, but
'Cause you're an amazing
but
man.
the day that morning when they did the same ceremony, you know, I'm waiting for my friends to come home and on that fucking plane, and they weren't. They were on that plane, but when the goddamn commander came out and said they landed in Canada, then you could see them all in the gym office and said you could see we were all standing there giving coffee to all the family members. I still remember. I don't remember what officer it was, but you could see in the office of the gym the MPs were running in and officers running in. Was like, what the hell is going on? We don't fucking know. We're stupid, you know. But we knew something was wrong. But I never forgot. Whoever it was walked out on that goddamn podium and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the plane has crashed. There are no survivors."
Oh my God, right?
And I'm telling you, it was like yesterday. It was the hush. It was the scream, but that was it. I mean, they didn't
Well,
freak
I
the
can't
fuck out.
imagine.
But then we had to go into, you know, mode. We had to go into mode to take these families, get them wherever they want to go to casualty assistance. So it was just a bizarre moment to become part of the 502nd. And the third plane came in a week later. And the thing was, the second plane was supposed to come home to bring all these people home for Christmas. And most of them were married people. And they changed their flight manifests over in the Sinai without telling Fort Campbell. They changed the last two planes because manifest back then was whoever was on the flight is coming home, right? And then because of this crash, because of Gander, everything changed. Every goddamn document they flew with them, their medical records, everything was on the fucking flight. But when that first plane, the battalion commander,
Three aircraft.
yeah,
First aircraft had landed.
landed everybody.
7
they looked
days
at that-
later, they were waiting for the second aircraft.
yes. But
And
before that,
what no one knew here at Campbell was that the battalion commander,
Jeff Cope,
who was on the aircraft,
he died
said
too.
he died too. Said the third aircraft is not going to come back until after Christmas. So anybody that's unmarried
In the Sinai,
Were you here
and
during
wants
that
to
time?
give up their
Benjamin was here?
suite
yes.
on the second aircraft to a guy that's going on the third aircraft that's married, go ahead and switch with them so
That's
that
how
you
Robert
can
switched.
go on the third aircraft that is going to land after Christmas so that the married guys can be home
That's what
with their
happened.
wives and their families
Yep.
for
And
Christmas.
several of them did. They did. They switched seats.
And
Yeah.
But
That's what
unfortunately,
Robert did.
the manifest was never transmitted
Back to Fort Campbell.
back to Campbell as to who was on the second aircraft and who had volunteered to give up their seat on the second aircraft to come back on the third aircraft. The second aircraft was the one that crashed,
Yes, it was.
so they didn't know
Who was on it?
who
But-
was
no,
on
but they
at the
did,
time
they
of the
did know.
crash.
They
Who
did
was
know.
on the second aircraft?
So when the plane crashed and I'm standing there listening to this bullshit, it was a goat fuck. I mean, it was just like, oh my God, what the fuck are we doing? And I didn't really connect that I just lost 5 of my friends because we were getting ordered to take care of families and stuff. But they did that over the Sinai without sending them fucking new manifests back to Fort Campbell. So what do? They sent out notifications of death people that weren't dead. They walk up to their homes and say, sorry, your loved one has died. And they're fucking freaking the fuck out. This wasn't reported, but then all of a sudden, that family, that wife, thinks she lost her husband. He's calling from the Sinai, I'm not dead.
Oh, wow.
You know? So it was a goat fuck. It was a goat. And because of that,
Days ago.
everything changed. No medical records go with you. Manifest, definitely, any change, go.